I cannot believe it. He lied to me again. He's been with so many other girls. That moment at that party should not have happened. He told me I was his number one. I was the only one he was looking forward to being with forever. And here I was, listening to everything he said. I was just going along with it. I can't believe that I've actually trusted him. He lied to me. I fell for it again, and I feel so stupid. Lord knows how many other girls he's been with, how many lies he's told to them. This is the wake-up call. No more. I really need to go get myself checked out. I could have some kind of STD. Lord knows what the hell he's contracted. I could have HIV.
I'm Jan Ridgeway, and I am the interim director at Garden Valley Neighborhood House. I have been here about 3.5 years, and I've been working in a community with many needs, and our whole goal has been to try to engage the community in helping determine how we address those needs. So we look for full community engagement, and our byline is sort of full community engagement to educate, empower, enrich, and employ the community. And so we do lots of things, from health literacy to tutorial programs for kids, to feeding my seniors on Wednesday, to being one of the largest food banks, or the largest food banks in Northeast Ohio. I was surprised when I left the building one day, walking down the sidewalk, and a carload of young women stopped and said, "Do you do HIV/AIDS testing here?" And I just had to take a step back. And I said, "No, but I can tell you where you can go." I said, "The free clinic offers it. Why don't you go there?"
Hello, my name is Lisa Michelle Fair, and I'm the HIV Education Coordinator at the Free Clinic of Greater Cleveland. I'm here at John F. Kennedy High School today to give a presentation about HIV and AIDS. I do awareness and prevention.
Okay, guys, I think I've been telling you guys for a couple of weeks now that Ms. Fair from the Cleveland Free Clinic is going to come and talk to you guys about our HIV awareness campaign kickoff. And we've been doing this for, it's almost been 4 years now, Ms. Fair. The first time you came out with something else, yeah. But we've been doing it every year ever since. So it's been a really nice relationship, and we've been able to accomplish getting the word out to JFK students and staff and people in the Lee Harbor community about what's going on with HIV and AIDS in our community. So without further ado, I don't want to waste a lot of time because we're going to watch a video called Reflections, and it's a really good video. We've been showing it for the past couple of years, and I think you guys get a whole lot out of it, so I want you to just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself watching the video, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
You want to start?
I'm going to pass these out first. Excuse me. I'm going to give you guys a pamphlet, and this is about HIV. Maybe we'll have a few minutes to discuss this after the film. Excuse me. I don't want us to run out of time as far as watching the film. Okay, so it's 3 people, which is good. I'll give each person a character. This film is about 3 young ladies. It's in a school setting. So you'll be Summer. You'll watch Summer. You'll watch Kaya. And young lady, you'll watch Juanita. And so These 3 young ladies all have risk for contracting HIV. So we're going to watch the film. I'll stop the film before the end. We'll have some discussion, and I want you guys to guess who has HIV.
And there's a huge stigma that's related to AIDS. I mean, it still is. Years later, it still is. So how do you engage a community in getting the information they need for prevention, for maintenance? How do you engage a community and not have the whole community know that they're interested in this topic, there's a possibility that they might be infected? How do you remove that stigma and help the people who need the information and the people who need the medical care get it? And so I went to Free Clinic and spent time with Lisa. I think that was her name, Lisa. And just sat down and had a long conversation with her and felt that we were on the same page and learned about the work that Free Clinic was doing and how we could possibly partner in getting the word out even more so in our community.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Everton. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My name is Lisa. I'm going to be doing your HIV test today. Okay. So tell me a little bit about what brought you into the clinic today.
Well, just, felt like I needed to get a test.
Mm-hmm. Any particular reason why?
Well, I have had unprotected sex.
Mm-hmm. That's a good reason. All right. So tell me about the kind of sex that you have.
Just regular sex with a guy.
Okay. And you only have one sex partner?
I only have one sex partner.
How many sexual partners have you had in the past 12 months?
Maybe 3.
Okay. And do you use condoms with all those partners?
I've used condoms with one.
Okay. So, tell me what you know about HIV. How do you get it?
Well, I heard you get it through sex.
Mm-hmm.
Through unprotected sex, but I don't know if you can get it through oral sex or anything like that.
Okay, so are those some questions that you'd like to have answered?
Yes.
Okay, so most definitely you can get HIV from having unprotected sex. And you would fall in that category, right?
Yes.
Do you think that you could tell if someone had HIV by the way they looked?
No.
Okay. So each time you have unprotected sex, you're taking that chance that you may be contracting HIV or some other STD, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you think it's a good idea to use condoms every time you have sex?
I think so.
Okay. So maybe we could talk a little bit about modifying your behavior. Just starting off little just to see if we can get you on a better track. Okay?
Okay.
I think it was very surprising to me that young people, and these women were probably early 20s, would just stop in the street and come to a center that they thought was a social service center and say, can I be tested for HIV/AIDS? And I think it helped. It was the first awakening for me of the need to do something here in Garden Valley. I've had some type of experience with HIV/AIDS since the 80s when I lived in Alaska and had friends who were HIV positive. And so I've always known about the disease from an educational piece and from a health-related piece, but I had not done very much study or research in terms of a community or a neighborhood that was highly infected. And so in doing research, I found out that Garden Valley and the central area had the highest rate of new HIV/AIDS in the city of Cleveland.
Today we watched a film called Reflections, which chronicles 3 young ladies' lives in high school and their risk for HIV. One of the young ladies at the end of the film winds up with HIV. So we watched the film and we have some discussion about not only HIV but other STDs as well.
Kaya?
That's Kaya.
She got it. Everybody knows she got it. Everybody
knows she got it. Why?
Good. So it was her first time. She didn't expect to get it, so she got it.
So, okay, so you're saying because that's the movie and that's usually what happens in the movie, but in real life, if she's a virgin, does virgins usually, I mean, wouldn't, what's her name? What's the one?
The girl who be doing it to everybody?
Right.
Juanita.
Juanita. Wouldn't she be more likely to get HIV than Kaya?
Yeah, she would.
But they're both not using protection.
They're
both likely to get it.
Right. And what about Summer?
Summer didn't use protection either because she got a baby.
She has a baby. And she's messing around with a man who's messing around with other people. And he's not using protection apparently either because the other girl said she was pregnant, so she could have been. Right? So it could be either one of them, really.
I still think it's a black girl.
You believe it's Juanita?
Mm-hmm. I believe it's Big Mom.
That's what her call? Kaya?
That's Kaya.
Okay. So what's going to happen is when we start the film back up, it's going to be 3 months later, and they're going to go get tested. And the reason that they allow 3 months is in real life, there's a 3-month window period for HIV antibodies to build up. Okay? So when you go get tested for HIV, you're not getting tested for HIV, you get tested for antibodies. Because once something foreign enters your body automatically starts to build up defenses to try to fight it off. Like if you were catching a cold, you would build up cold antibodies. So we test for HIV antibodies to see if you've been exposed to HIV. And different people, it takes a different amount of time. Sometimes it takes one person a month, sometimes it takes people 2 months. But at 3 months, we can usually tell if you've been exposed.
So yes, you do get HIV from sex. But it's not only sex, it's the vehicle in which the HIV is transmitted. So it's in bodily fluids, blood, right? Mm-hmm. So anytime you have contact with anybody's semen, vaginal fluid, or blood, that can be a transmitter for HIV, direct contact. We don't have any documented evidence of any transmission with open mouth kissing. For some reason, our saliva breaks the virus down. Okay. So when the women pulled up that day, and it was a carload of them, maybe about 4 or 5. And I was getting ready to get in the car to go home. And they pulled up and just stopped and said, basically, we want to be tested for HIV, AIDS. And I'm sitting here thinking, wow, women are asking. Not men, but women are asking.
You know, Rain, that's correct, right? Your name is Rain. And I find that people just come in out the clear blue sky to get tested. So can you be a little bit more candid with me? Or is there anything going on? Have you had any physical problems? Are you feeling a little differently? Did you hear like maybe that one of your significant others were having problems with STDs?
Having sex with somebody else.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good reason to get tested. Mm-hmm. And please don't think that I'm discouraging you from getting tested. I think that we should all get tested. Anyone that's sexually active should get tested. So, we have assigned the name Rain Arrington to you as a fictitious name, just so we could give you some anonymity. You have a choice of testing anonymously, which means I will use the name Rain Arrington, or we can use your real name, and I can give you a piece of paper with your test results on them. Either way, you will get your results today. But if you use this name, Rain Arrington, I'll just give you a verbal result. So the choice is yours.
I would go with the confidential testing.
Confidential testing, which means you would give me your real name?
No.
Okay, so you want to take an anonymous test.
Anonymous test.
Okay.
She had 2 kids and she was only 14. She sold her body and lived another man's dream. I mean, all she knew was sex and drugs. Never was introduced to a different scene. How do you act when you constantly being disrespected and called bees? Her nickname was Choo Choo. People would come and go for a serving, then switch stations like a Marine. Stop all the fingers from touching your touch screen. See, nobody knew. She was held down while men after men made their way between. Her mother would cover her mouth and tell her, you better not scream. With the little money she got, she had to buy cream to try and cure burning sensation she caught from the teen. She was 14 years young when she tested positive for HIV. How you know little Choo-Choo ain't have her own dreams? Maybe she wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, even start her own foundation. She didn't get the chance to walk the stage for her graduation or to see the smiles upon her baby faces. I just want you to picture this illustration. A young girl, only 14, with a burning sensation. She didn't even know love, basic math, 1 + 1, education. She ran away from her complications, and they messed up her state of mind from the force of their penetration. She put a cause on her shoulder dislocation, screaming, please, I have 2 kids, and I know your situation. But that didn't stop his continuation. He'll beat her, then start molestation. And when he done, he'll bring our kids in to see her in humiliation, and she have a mental breakdown because when she look at her daughter, she see her duplication. She try to stay strong, but it's just built up anger and frustration. But then, one day she asks, why you gotta invade my privacy? See, my private isn't even privately, and when it's all done finally, my heart cry out silently. But then, he replied violently, you're only 14, so your body is mine rightfully. Why would you share with one when there's a whole society? So now, I'm screaming, I'm yelling, you wasn't there, and me seeing my mother was rare. More dudes been on me than the clothes I wear. I was only 5. How? When you left me out in mid-air. But he ain't care. He said he wanted to release the anger, the bottled up hot air. His looks for my future was like a blind person, visionally impaired. So he wanted me to be blind, and my future consists of selling my body for his grind. That's the type of daughter he defined. But it's repeated repetition. He repeated repetition and put me in his position like, I don't get it. I'm only 1 lock, but so many keys fit my ignition. Then he told me, opposition. It's a family tradition. Only 1 key fit your ignition, but he wants several to try out like an audition. So now, I'm wore out and broken down like a compound. You see the tears in my eyes, but you smile and say, let's go another round now. You muted me out like you couldn't hear my sound now. I'm drowned now. And my tears as I hit the ground now, I couldn't help but break down now. Father gave me HIV. How am I supposed to turn my life around now?
How many of you guys know somebody personally? Family member, friend, anybody? I just lost somebody a couple months ago that I was really close to, and he passed away with AIDS complications. And he lived about 10 years from the time I knew him. And I really thought he was okay. It was kind of like the whole Magic Johnson scenario where he was doing so fine for so many years. I kind of just thought it was cured or something. Right. You know, and then one day I came home and my wife was like, he passed away. And I was just, it almost shocked me like more than ever because he was doing so fine. Does anybody know anybody?
Yes.
Oh no, I just said that somebody knows somebody. I know somebody.
You know someone who has HIV? I think we probably all know somebody who has HIV. And see, this is the thing. In the African American community, just because I know and I work in this community, a lot more people have HIV than you guys know. The reason that people don't talk about it in the African American community is the way we treat each other. We shame each other into hiding. And we talk about, and then we act like nobody's having sex. Everybody's having sex. So anybody that has sex can get HIV. The only reason that we have all the medication and we've made such great strides with HIV is because white males in America in the 80s, when they were all dying, they donated themselves and their bodies and everything to science and finding a cure. And so that's why we have the medications that we have right now. So the people now that have it, we are not making the strides that we made before because everybody's in hiding. Nobody wants to talk about it. And I hate to tell you guys, but the main people that's getting HIV now are African American females. And nobody wants to talk about it. You would never think it was going on. Because we won't stand up and fight it. So we're just like being sick in silence. And I have all kind of, I try to have meetings, I try to have support groups, and nobody will come. Because they don't want anybody to see them. Because everybody's embarrassed.
Queen Latifah movie when she had AIDS, they had like a big group. And I thought it was like that, but you're saying people
not in
like,
Cleveland.
That's scary.
Not in Cleveland.
Wow.
It's not like that in D.C. It's not like that in New York, but it's like that here.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, Rand, do you have any questions or concerns about anything that we've discussed thus far?
No.
So, do you have a plan going forward as to how you're going to handle your sexual activities in the future? Are you going to make any types of changes, or?
I definitely will make changes.
What will be those changes?
To stop having sex.
Oh, really? Okay. So I hear that a lot. And I mean, I'm not doubting that you can do that. I'm sure that you can do that. But this is probably just a scary time for you now. So let's take, for instance, if you decided to have sex. What would you do? What would be your plan of action?
Well, to try to use a condom.
Try?
It gets hard to get them to use a condom.
Your partners, they don't like to use condoms.
Right.
And what does that tell you about their responsibility to you?
That they don't care.
Okay. And so is that the type of relationship you really want to be in?
No.
Okay. So I think we're getting somewhere. I'm sure you're a beautiful young lady. I'm sure there's a lot of men out there that would be more than willing to respect your wishes and respect your body. So maybe let's just work on just taking a step back and trying to hook up with some people that respect your wishes.
I think there has to be some responsibility on the part of the family and parents in sharing information. And in order for them to share it, they must be educated first. I think there is a responsibility within the schools, when we do sex education, to talk about it. And when we do health literacy, to talk about it, because it's not all, I think it must be an holistic approach to it, where we talk about it family, we talk about it at school, we talk about it in our churches. Where in the African American community, the church has always been one of those areas that has been the strongest in terms of a social and cultural development. And so if we aren't doing it there as well, we lose some momentum. Martin Luther King says this, he said this prayer that we aren't where we ought to be, but we're a lot further than we were. And I think that's very true with the whole HIV/AIDS piece. And I think high-profile people like when Magic Johnson, when that first hit the news, people would, if he could come out and, say this and acknowledge this disease, surely we can, and to have that kind of high visibility and the work that he has done as well as other organizations, the AIDS Collaborative here in Cleveland, the Ryan White organization, all of these potential funders who can help get the message out by supporting and financing initiatives that's related to this. And I just think it needs to be just a basic component of any health literacy, especially for teens and seniors and those most vulnerable populations. Not just label it a HIV/AIDS educational information piece, but a health literacy piece. And just fold it into everything else we learn about health, whether it's hypertension, whether it's diabetes or whatever. That this is another high-risk area for African Americans.
I want to take you over to the lab. We're going to give you a small finger stick. All I need is 1 drop of blood. And I'm going to test you for HIV antibodies to see if you've been exposed to HIV. Okay? There's a 3-month window period. So this will be a baseline test. Okay? And then I would want you to come and get tested again in 3 months. Is that okay?
Okay.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yes.
Okay. So, you have any other questions?
No.
All right, let's go over to the lab.
I believe that wherever there is poverty, there are certain kinds of health and social ills, for lack of a better term, that just go hand in hand with poverty. And our poverty level is high in this community. So it's not surprising when you have the number of African American males, young males in the prison system, when you have households that are primarily female-headed households without males in the house. And while many mothers are very comfortable having those kinds of conversations with males, many are not. You know, I think literacy is an issue. If there are low literacy rates, then there is less of a chance to want to go out and research it and delve into it and find out as much as you can. Garden Valley has some of the highest rates of African American males between the ages of 16 and 24 in the prison system. We know that there is a high rate of infection within the prison system. And what we believe is that many of our young men come out of the prison system and may have had some contact while there. It wasn't a lifestyle they chose. It might have been a matter of survival. So they come out and they don't acknowledge that this was a lifestyle that I lived while there. They go into heterosexual relationships. They infect women. We have this whole cougar thing going, older women with younger men. We have younger women who might have been infected now with older men. And so this disease is there, it's out there. And I just think we need to do more as a community to make us aware of what's going on, that we have a responsibility to educate, even if it's uncomfortable, to get the message out there that this is a preventable disease, and it is one where there has been a high rate of success in terms of maintenance with the proper medication.
Okay, Rain. I'm happy to report that your test results were negative. Like I said before, I'd really like for you to come in and get tested again in 3 months. So each time you have unprotected sex, that window period starts over again. So what I would suggest, even if you could do this, maybe abstain from sex for the next 3 months, and then you will know that you are HIV free. Okay? Because every time you have unprotected sex, that cycle starts again. All right?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about your negative test result?
No.
Okay. Pretty happy about that?
Yes.
Were you frightened about that?
Yes.
A little worrying?
Yes.
Okay. And so what did we decide to do to kind of take some of that worrying from you?
To use a condom every time I have sex.
Okay, good. I'm glad. So that's the 3rd time you said that. So that's pretty good. Maybe we're gonna get that in your mind. That little button is just saying that you're HIV negative, and maybe you can look at it periodically and or post it on Facebook or something. All right. Do you have any additional questions?
No.
Thank you for coming in and taking the time to get tested. I would suggest that you get tested pretty often, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Very nice to meet you.
You too.
I think it's really important in this community that we discuss this. African American women are contracting HIV at alarming rates, and I don't think that we're addressing this issue as we should. So we had a really great time today talking about this. I think we covered a lot of information. And if anyone wants any other information, feel free to come and talk to me at the Free Clinic of Greater Cleveland. It's at 12201 Euclid Avenue. And I'm there from Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We have a teen clinic. Feel free to walk in from 1 until 4 on those days. Looking forward to seeing you.